Hey everybody, Doug here from 2 Plus Tough. Hopefully this stream works a little bit smoother than they did last time. But my name is Doug with 2 Plus Tough, and today we are going to be hanging out doing all kinds of hobbying, acting all nerdy. And I, as you can see... Oh, wait, did my little text thing go away? It did. I'm working on some Relicblade today. If you're unfamiliar, Relicblade is a miniatures game, kind of like somewhere between a D&D adventure skirmish game and a miniature war game, played solo or co-op, and you take the role as a bunch of heroes, and there's just all kinds of narrative missions and stuff. It really is like a D&D adventure type thing, just played out with mini wargaming rules. All the art and stuff like that is designed by one creator, Sean Stutter, and if you ever get the chance at Adepticon, he's always there and is exceptionally friendly. So go support him. I have a whole heckin' ton of stuff here. Pardon me. This is my little metal tray. I got this, sent this from my buddy Dan over at Tectonic Craft Studios. It's just a bunch of super random Relicblade things. He had a whole lot in his basement that he forgot, and like pieces are missing from some of them. I don't know. So anyway, we're gonna start taking them apart and going through it. There's everything from my favorite of this particular lot is this. This is the objective yak. So there's missions where you have to like control the objective and can walk around, and so you have to get the yak to follow you. I don't know why I find that so amusing, but I do. So we'll grab him. Let's grab a few little guys. I think I'm going to kind of paint them up like in groups that are similar. So we'll start off with my two pig boys here. I think that's all I got for the pig boys. And we're going to be really quick and simple with these paint jobs because I'm not here for a long time with these guys. I don't actually play Relicblade as much as I wish I could. And then off the camera here to the right, I have another unit of Morbeg Knights that I'm painting up. Which now I feel silly buying, having seen the holiday bundle, which is just oops, all knights. But we'll do. We'll make do. So let's get started here with these guys. I would love to know what everybody else is working on. What's up, loud and clear? Hey, thank you, buddy. Sweet. Happy Sunday 2 Plus. Happy Sunday to you as well. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be streaming today. I just found out that my nephew's having a little shindig at his place, so I might have to duck out for that. But we'll hang until I can. Got here some Gulliman Flush. And I would love to know what everybody else is painting today. I've kind of been on a tear lately of just crushing projects that I just have been sitting staring at me for like super long time. So part of it was definitely, oh, what have I been doing? I did all the Torch and Shield stuff. That was an immense amount of fun. I'm just waiting on a nice day where I can go and do some actual, not product shots because it's not my product, but you know what I mean, like some nice final shots. If you have never played this game, I'll chat about it just while we're filling the air. The basic structure of Relicblade is very simple. You kind of play like an abstract force in the universe. So let's say a force of good or a force of bad. You collect the heroes that you would have called into service to achieve whatever goal you want. So you have good guys versus bad guys with a lot of open-ended list building in between then, and you are playing against the opposite, so good guys versus bad guys type thing. So what that means is if I work for the denizens of evil, I summon my pig legions and they go fight for me. Maybe this time I tapped on the shoulder of a dark knight or something like that to go lead them. Boom, now I got pig people. So there's not really like armies or factions in the same sense as there are other games. It's just each expansion is more like a set of characters that you can now play as, good or bad, and unique missions and artwork and stuff like that. So it's not like you're buying a faction and continue upgrading. Every purchase is for all players of the game, which is really nice. Working on some clan rats, 3D printed. Cool. Any particular poses or sculpts stand out to you that why you wanted to do 3D printed, or just cost effective? I know sometimes people have like special designs, like, oh yeah, these are clan rats, but they're like Scryer-ish. You know what I mean? Or a design company will make clan specific variants of stuff. Wargamer Willie, thank you so much. Purchase the Lion to be Carthalos, Bastion, Proxy, and my Stormcast army. Almost ready to prime. What timing? Aw, thank you so much, buddy. That's sweet. How much bigger is he than... I feel like the Lionel Johnson has got to be huge, right? I don't know anything. I did make an agreement with a local guy to get my first 40k army since, I think, like 7th. Gonna be playing Space Marines. Haven't decided on a flavor yet. I've been talking about that in the last few streams. Unsure of what to do, but I'm also not in a huge rush to find out, so... I'm torn between Blood Angels, because they got all those new shiny models and they look terrific. And honestly, Ultramarines. Because of Space Marine 2, and one of my first 40k books that I ever read was The Fall of Damnos. Which I still maintain is a pretty fun story. Let's see. WTF is Relicblade. Casual Kraken. Relicblade is a skirmish miniatures game that is somewhere between a skirmish game and a role-playing game. You build a party of like 3 to 4 warriors that all have like very cool thematic actions and skills. I can actually go get you a card here and show you how it plays here in a second, but essentially you build a small force, your opponent does. You can play single player, cooperatively, solo, or against each other head to head. And it's just a very simple skirmish game with a lot of thematic rules, and it's just about telling a story. Like I said, somewhere between D&D combat and a skirmish game. And those guys, the base layer needs to dry, so we'll pick up our battle yak. It is a fantastic game night game with your friends. It's wonderful, actually. If you're looking for a game to introduce folks who don't play miniature games to the miniature gaming hobby, you're just like trying to get folks into the idea of using miniatures or maybe painting them or whatever. It's a fantastic game for that because it is so not cumbersome. But I'll show you here in a sec with the rules. I'll go grab some when I'm done here. The bases are a bit different. Oh, okay. It's just the difference between a 60 and a 50. I thought it was like uber big. I don't know why I thought that. I thought he was like a Terrorgeist. But yes, the real appeal of Relicblade to me is that it is a simple system. It's not cumbersome, and Sean the artist, does all of his own artwork and everything, and his own game design and stuff. It's really, really nice to support a indie artist like that. And every time he releases a new expansion for the game, all it really is an expansion is just more characters and more gameplay concepts or missions. So that I mean is one of them is like going into the catacombs. So it's the same game, it's just rules for building, cool thematic tombs and stuff like that to plunge into, and a few kind of not named enemies, but like location specific ones. There we go. And Relicblade has even more cool models. Once we have the latest Kickstarter delivery, there's more. Yes, and I did sign up for that. Or back it, whatever the term is. I am very excited. Got that. Let's grab. Oh yes, Relicblade has some fantastic stuff. I was into the hobby already. Painting minis is my new hobby. Now I'm getting into digital kit bashing. Sweet. Hey Doug, how's it going? Hey Alec, man, I am doing good. We are just chilling at this point. Painting some pigs, talking about Relicblade, at least conceptually. Say, I thought he had a little goatee. Here we go. The Batagak is pretty dope. Feel the ponies from Lord of the Rings. Yes, exactly. Now what I'm doing is putting the matching dark fur of the pig deep into, and then I'm going to put a lighter brown up on the rats so that they look a little different from him, just to make them pop off a little bit. I think that's a good idea. So yeah, right into those areas in between the rats. Okay. Hold on, paused here for a hot second. Let me go get a Relicblade book thing. I want to talk about this game some more. All right. So when you buy the game, we'll go to an upward cam here. So when you buy the game, this is really what it is. It's called the Seeker's Handbook. You can use whatever miniatures you already own. You do not have to buy these miniatures. This is, I think, like a $30 to $40 book, and it is $30 right there on the back. It contains an entire game within it. Essentially, you build a small warband, you're given a mission, and you can either combine the forces of good, meaning the characters that they tell you are good or bad. To achieve that, there's a few neutral, like mercenaries, that can work for either side. Fun fact, if you buy this directly from the artist, he actually puts in a design. He does a lot of these, so I love it. It just feels like buying the game is buying an individual piece of art. But within it, the core the core loop of the game is that you're essentially going to get a character. Let's see if I can do this. Every character has a card, and then what is it? 2 action dice. Yes. So you're gonna get this number of dice when the character activates, and you can spend them to do different abilities. And then the values that you roll with them, basically you're just kind of allocating what you want to do that round with the dice that you have to do it. Some actions don't require any dice, some require a bunch. Your big attacks generally do. Some effects will affect the number of action dice you get per round. You can find all kinds of things. There's a ton of thematic rules in this thing that are very light, meaning they're not cumbersome. It's not like GW where they have you like calculate the curvature of the earth to see if this +1 to hit goes off. There's a campaign mode where you establish a base, upgrade stuff. You can hire people to your base, and all kinds of missions that I love are hand drawn like this, like they're almost approximations of a map. And that's really what it is. This basic game format comes with a lot of symmetrical missions. Hey, the pack yak escort. So you're trying to escort the yak. I love this stuff. Like I said, it's very simple. You can build the tables however you want. And overall, I think it makes a fantastic game. Now, the way that's cool, as I mentioned before, is when it expands, the expansions are also just these little tiny booklets. That's just a little guy. And so, for example, this one, same basic concept. It introduces new characters and stuff like that, but come on. These are all little lore blurbs for the new characters they introduced to kind of give you some context. Where do I try to go? Here we go. So in this one, it basically introduces the idea of a dungeon. So when they talk about the dungeon, these are the components. You can just make them out of a block of styrofoam, and honestly, it'll work perfectly. But anyway, so again, it's same rules, new concepts, new characters, and a new environment. So that's what an expansion looks like. They also have character packs, which are just very, very simple things that come with one mission and a bunch of miniatures. Yeah, he's got a whole bunch of them. Again, this is all the stuff that was randomly sent to me by my friend Dan, so it's kind of scattered, my collection is. Here's the bag of bodies I can't yet identify. But we'll get there. We'll dig through it. I'm sure at some point I'll sit with the website and just tediously go through. But the end result of that is a very rules-light system that allows you to track building a party and surviving the craziness of the world. So yeah. I will pause there in my rambling about the game to see if anybody has any questions. But it's very fun. I don't know of any other individual creator who has developed such a following and I don't know, just a great reputation. Sean's a great guy. He's good people. Okay, I'm just looking at the details on here. There are free sample rules and paper minis for Relicblade. Oh, yes. Thank you so much. Yes, there are. He has a lot of ways to get started. I don't know. It's just such an easy game to get into and support. And again, if you're someone who, like, you already own a army's worth of D&D miniatures, you know, for doing your RPGs and stuff like that, just use them. Are there actual Relicblade minis? Yes, I am painting them. Keep in mind, these cover a large range of time and learning about development skills. My point in saying that is the newer minis he makes are far more impressive than some of these older ones, but I'm a sucker for big people. I always have been. Yes, if you go to the actual website for Relicblade, they have a very, very large range of minis. And what's nice is that each set is like, I don't know, 4 to 6 minis, and so like again, they're not a lot in terms of price, or I mean just a lot in terms of, you know, what you're gonna throw on your painting log. Being able to paint up a whole faction quickly is pretty cool. One of the reasons I love Underworlds and that kind of stuff. This guy has a tabard on both sides, front and back, that's made of nothing but dead rats. And it's not my fashion choice, but it's a bold one. And that gets you points. But yes, really there are actual ones, and they are quite cool. They actually match his artwork very well. Wargamer will tell you those elephant-style four-arm things from Legacy of Amos were dope. Sucks that it kind of fell apart. Yeah, it does. I was real bummed about that. I don't know. I go back and forth about how I feel about that. So if you don't know, there was a game that paid me to do a talk about their Kickstarter launch called Legacy of Atmos, and I really fell in love with it. I fell in love with the setting and stuff, and then I wanted to jump in, be a part of it, and then they kind of went in a different direction, and I was like, nah, I'm good, actually. There was a while there, it just kind of started to pivot more into being an online type game than a miniature one, and I was like, well, that's kind of the whole thing. It's what I like, so. We'll see. I don't know. I need to find a property to reinvigorate. Steamforged Games beat me to War Machine and Hordes. I say that in jest. There was never any chance that I ever had enough money to buy War Machine and Hordes. But wouldn't it be fun? Wouldn't it be fun? While I got the brown out, I'm going to grab this guy. Conquest is freaking cool too. Wish I knew locals who played it. Same. It was bigger in my last area that I lived in, but not so much here. And I just have too many responsibilities to be the one in charge of running the group, you know? It's a really nice platitude online for it when you say, like, man, I wish there was people near me, to someone to be like, well, start your own group. Be the change you want to see. It's like, man, that's a commitment. But yeah, I just have not been motivated to take out my Wadroon. I did take him out the other day just to see what I still had. I mean, see what I had. I didn't get rid of anything, but I don't know. It was just like, man, I just have no oomph. But I agree, and I love their scale of models for Conquest. I would love to find more uses for them just because I love the miniatures so much. I actually have enough for not just a Wadroon. I have enough for Wadroon and 100 Kingdoms if I'm playing the First Blood, the smaller version, but that doesn't seem nearly as popular. I'm still pushing the Path to Glory campaign here. I've wrangled up 5 others. We've all played at least 2 games each. That's wonderful, man. I'm so happy for you. Here locally, I picked up a bolt action American starter because locally some guys are getting into that. And bolt action is a game that has interested me, specifically Conflict 41, which they also are interested in. But it's just a game that's just interested me. I played a demo of it. I actually started to get into it when I was back in the Seattle area. But the issue I had back there was that they started playing bolt action when I think it would have been 40k. Oh, 7th into 8th, I think. Whenever they made their first really, really big change, right, from the old school style of Warhammer. I think that was 7th to 8th. But when they did that, a bunch of the players up there started playing bolt action, and I was super intrigued, but they were looking at it as a competitive 40k replacement, not a casual or historical game. And so seeing everyone gravitate towards the most, broken things in a game that is ostensibly supposed to be a historical game, I'm just like, no thanks. So I was out. But I did like the game conceptually. I did play a demo of it. I had a wonderful time. I love the activation mechanic. If you haven't checked that out, it's definitely worth seeing. But yeah, I was just like, ugh. For the same reason I didn't want to do the competitive Blood Bowl League, because that's just not a fun way to learn. Right? Like, it's not fun to learn through just absolutely getting crushed, and then your opponent is like, well, get good. Not because they're rude, but because their group expects a kind of play. I've always wanted to play a miniature tank game. Okay, I have a recommendation for you that costs almost nothing. You ready? Best tank game ever made. Go to Snarling Badger Studios and look up Tanks for the Apocalypse. It is made by Vincent Ventrella and Adam Loper of Tabletop Minions and Vince Ventrella fame. And it is a tongue-in-cheek post-apocalyptic. Basically, imagine the world ends, you survive, and then you find a National Guard depot. and you just have fun with it. So you just ridiculous tanks. They encourage you to arm them in all kinds of crazy ways. You're just running around the setting, blowing stuff up. It's built to be played in small groups or large ones. At Adepticon, they had a group, I think, of 12 players, all crowded around the table, and they were having a blast. Let's see, is there anything else? It's pure red. Nope. Yes, for that one, they suggest you literally just go to your local, like, Hobby Lobby, whatever craft store you have, grab a Sherman tank model, and you're good. And it's pretty great. I've never been the biggest fan of historical games. I'll be perfectly honest with you. Because people take history in a lot of different ways. We'll say that. Vince and Adam are both pretty good guys. Sounds fun. Oh yes, they are some of my favorites. I have had the wonderful fortune and opportunity to meet a lot of content creators in person, many of whom are very different in real life than they seem to be online. For better or worse, it goes a lot of different directions, and I have to say consistently, Vince and Adam are my favorite human beings. One time, Adam made me an old-fashioned at Holy Havoc like 2 years ago. It was the best drink I've had in a long, long time. He did good. I mean, that's not an evidence of his moral character, but it is, isn't it? Man, why can I not find any of the browns I'm looking for? Here we go. And Vince consistently is one of the most level-headed and fun people I have a good time with at events. Hoping to see him this year at Havoc. I think he said he was going, he just doesn't have a partner. Let's get that, let's turn that book blue. He's got a little like arcane tome on him I want to paint blue. He's metal. He's so heavy. Man, I keep fighting the itch to like batch paint. I keep looking for other models like on the tin. Then I'm like, oh yeah, I got blue out. I could do this. I could do that. I could do this. I could do that. I'm like, nope. Just focus. Vince, sounds fun. Yep. Making sure I didn't miss anything. And we got a strap going across his chest here. Oh yes. Pretty boy. I like him. has a little... Alright, let's grab some other weird ones here. We got our little fire salamander friend. I like him. I was thinking of orange, kind of tough skin, washed down hard with browns, and then more of a red kind of plate mail on his back with those chunky little arms. This guy is glued like to the nines, by the way. It was very hard to get this. They're all metal. All these models are metal. And getting him to sit on the base after I think he was bent in storage for so long, I was like, oh man. Here we go, just blocking out our initial colors. Looks like an angry version of Stitch. That is exactly what he looks like. One thing I did want to say here, because like I said, I don't know how long I'm going to be recording. I might have to head out soon unexpectedly, but this week I do have a Critic Foul Blade video going up. So I am very excited about that. I also want his cape selfishly to be orange. But yes, I was really hoping to be talking about Stormcast already. And so that's why the videos have been so silent. I've been working on them. A lot of talk about anything. But all that to say, don't think I just disappeared. Nice, I like that. Are you into Magic the Gathering at all? So yes and no. I like it casually. Like I've been to a few of the local stores will do like Friday drafts or something like that. And I usually, if I do play, it's only ever Commander. And I usually stick to like, I think I own like 2 or 3 decks now. I have the Fallout Mothman one because that's my spirit animal. It's Mothman, the cryptid. But then also I have the Tyrannid one when they did the 40k series, and that's because I really like the play styles, right? They really click with me. But card games are hard for me because I've just never been one of those people who can think about all of the card possibilities out there and then build a deck. So like I like the game of Magic the Gathering, just not the trading card aspect, the deck building aspect. But if I just grab a deck, I have a great time. Like when they did the I think it would have been the Lord of the Rings Commander deck releases, there was a day where it was a Commander day where everyone just plays the pre-built Lord of the Rings decks. And I said, hey, I don't actually have one of those. I didn't pre-order one, they were sold out. Do you mind if I bring another pre-made commander deck. I promise I won't change a card. And they were so inviting, and I had a wonderful time because pre-generated decks against each other. It's all about the flavor of the game. It's wonderful. The second somebody else, though, because I felt like I was being rude by not getting the message with the Lord of the Rings stuff, somebody else walks in and they have the Power Gamer commander deck that they built from scratch, and they were the person that got all the evil sneers. So, you know, it worked out for me. But yeah, I don't know. Let's see. I'm stunned by how long the pre-order has been looming. Yeah, agreed. Why the Mothman? Because it's super badass. Yes, exactly. I'm the same way. I'm super casual. Yeah. And so, like, I went out and I bought, like, a few... I saw a video on YouTube that was, like, you know, cards under $50 to improve the Tyranid deck. Someone did something like that. So if you buy the pre-made Tyranid deck, you add these $50 worth of cards, and it's pretty good. I went and bought those cards just to have them on the side in case I wanted to have a more fun, open Commander Night thing, but yeah, they're not. I don't really do that. I do bring my deck, my Tyranid deck, every year to Adepticon and have yet to actually stumble upon a group of random nerds playing it. But I hear about it every year. People are like, oh yeah, well, I brought this deck and we started playing. I'm like, where? Well, yes. I enjoy Magic quite a bit. I am the same way, actually. And if we're talking card games that I love, Pokemon. I still think Pokemon is one of the best card games ever. I thoroughly enjoy the hell out of it. I like the decision-making points of your bench and upgrading monsters and trainer cards, and I love it. But I'm also overweight, 6'3" and 35 years old with a shaggy beard, so if I go to a local game day and I'm surrounded by 11-year-olds, I get looked at, and for all the right reasons. Oh man. When people play like 5 things turn 1 or 2, that's where I go, hey man, we having fun? Exactly, yeah. Wow, I bet when I get to play my turn at some point, someday, it'll be as much fun as you're having. I totally understand that. I feel that way about 40K, or at least not this edition. I haven't played this one, but 7th was the last time I really played, and just like psychic phases and stuff like that, where you're just like, I'm gonna go get a drink and maybe a beer, some snacks. Maybe when I'm done, and I'll drive back after I get some gas from the car, and you'll be about finished with your psychic phase, correct? Okay, cool. About card games, the Warcry quote selling point that it's a card game, and oh, you mean Underworlds? I think you mean was a huge turnoff. Also, welcome to the 35 club. The Warcry selling point is the card game and a mini game. Yes, for Underworlds, I totally agree. When there was a time when it first launched that I had an amazing amount of fun with that game, but there was no options available. Once they started releasing all the different decks and stuff like that, then I became disinterested. But when there were games where it's just, you know, use the deck that comes in the box or whatever, they're fun. I also only have pre-built Magic decks. They're so fun. My last group have sweaty try-hard cards. Honestly, dropping a few grand on a deck while I'm rocking my $60 Chaos deck. Yes, exactly. Oh, Cursling, I think you appreciate it. The Sea Elves deck seems badass, though. I like that theme we're going with. Nice. See an Elves deck. Yeah, I don't know. And that was always my problem with Underworlds, is I could see the same problems on the horizon that X-Wing had. You guys remember X-Wing with the little pre-painted ships? I played that game. Another one I played a ton of. I was there at the Adepticon where they announced it. I bought it greedily. My wife and I, it was the only miniatures game that I've gotten her to play consistently because 2 bottles of wine in, and we had a house rule where you have to make explosion sounds when your ship blows up, and she had a great time. So there we are playing X-Wing. But the same thing happened where, you know, there are some upgrade cards in, say, the TIE Fighter box that X-Wing, like the actual ship the X-Wing players want, and vice versa. And so all of a sudden you're buying all these things not because you want what's actually in the box, but because of the asterisk of what comes in it. I don't want a TIE Fighter. I want the little, somewhat meaningless card that comes with it. And I felt the same way about Underworld for a bit, where it's like you start to accrue this collection of stuff that you don't necessarily really want. Certainly no reason to ever have multiples of them, but you get them anyway. I'm just like, eh. The elf deck is so wild. There's so many cards that if you have X elves, you have X more. The Tyranids have one that is something similar to that. I think it's like Endless Swarm or something like that. It's pretty cool. I enjoyed that quite a bit. I think if I had to pick a Magic the Gathering color, there's a question for the chat. If you had to identify with a color, what would it be? And for me, green. Big monsters. Big Hail Mary swings. I like a lot of the effects that I see in green cards as far as like just bringing monsters out, having chaff until your big things come out. I love it. I love it. So I will ask the chat, what is your ideal Magic the Gathering card color? All right. Yeah, let's see. I'm gonna grab some Nesdrig yellow. I'm gonna have this thing kind of be like a little beehive kind of coming out of his arm there. I know Vince on his channel does a lot with like the psychographic or whatever charts of Magic players. I'll be the first to say I don't know Magic enough to understand any of that stuff, but it's fun to listen to someone who sounds like they know what they're talking about it. For my tree guy, I am going to cover the bottom of his leaves, like his beard and stuff like that, his leaves. I'm going to just douse it with Warp Lightning to give it a nice dark green, and then I'm going to come back with a lighter green and some variant colors and pick it up with the midtone. But this will at least add all my shadows and get a nice green base. I did know 2 lads that snagged the Inquisition and Tyranid decks, and we had a few games of those. No upgrades, straight green, ramp, exactly, yes. Big monsters all day. Seems easiest color to learn and getting into the game as well. Oh, elves are green. I did not know that. Okay. When I played the Lord of the Ring, like that one game day session I did, I'm trying to think. I kept seeing a lot of, I guess it would have been the Hobbit deck. I don't know. There's a lot of Pippin and Merry around. I wasn't sure if that was for thematic reasons. Everyone identifies as a Pippin when he's sitting there smoking, or what, but... And then when the Fallout deck came out, I was just like, shut up and take my money. Are you kidding me? I love Fallout stuff, so... That one was... That was one of those ones where I fell into the trap of every other person, or just like... I like this thing. I'll pay money for it. I don't care what it is. It was basically me at that moment. Deck synergy is the same as me being lazy to look up good decks for any other color. Yeah, basically. Yeah, man. I'm just saying, right? Like, when we were growing up playing Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, we revered gym trainers for only focusing on one type of Pokemon because it meant that they were masters at it. And now we scoff at gamers for only having one color of magic card? Please. When I play Pokemon, I do definitely just still pick one color. I'm going to be good at one thing, and I'm not going to wait for any random energy card that I need. I need this. Did I come to set someone on fire? Bring it on. Forgive me, I'm just getting his little dots on his belt here. Nice. Let's see. Jesse, hey Doug, hey. We'll see. Doug, favorite Pokemon and best Pokemon card you've ever had. When I was young, straight up drew a Charizard out of that initial set from Pokemon. Raw dog to Charizard, straight off the bat. And then, basically, an adult who lied about its value weaseled it out of me and traded it for a Scyther. That's alright. I mean, I'm not someone who, like, I'm not a hardcore collector of anything, so I didn't really care, but that was cool. Also, when I played Yu-Gi-Oh! I drew a Mirror Force. So that's definitely the most valuable thing I've personally pulled out. What else? As far as my favorite, I gotta go with my boy Bulbasaur. I choose him consistently every single game version that I can. I loved him in Pokemon Unite. If I had to choose a Pokemon that like I would actually want, like let's say I could turn one of these things into a real living creature, I still pick Bulbasaur, man. He's good people. Moving away from the starters, if you want something a little bit more interesting, a close second up would be Sandshrew. Really like Sandshrew. Let's see. I mean, I'm building and painting the lion, which let me some green, castellan green with gold strip. That's funny. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Prattle Thwap. $5. Thank you for the relaxing background chat while I'm on my weekend work days. Aw, thank you so much for joining me. I'm glad you're able to hang out while I was on. Probably have to hop off here pretty soon, but this was a great start on laying down some base colors. I'm trying to think of my, let's see, least favorite Pokemon, Jinx. It looks like it exists to racially profile. I don't know any other way to say it. The correct answer was Swinub. Oh, I could see that. Hey, my dudes and dudettes. Hey, Sean, what's up? Nope, I think I hear my cats outside destroying something. I don't know about you guys. My cats have a tendency to do fight clubs whenever I'm trying to record. So you'll just hear smash, 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 smash. Then you go outside and everyone's just sitting, just cool, calm, looking at me like I'm the idiot. Yeah, Jinx was a wild Pokemon design. I'm trying to think of who else do I really not like. Let's choose a different one for different reasons, right? I feel like that one's just maybe an insensitivity issue. Let's pick a different one. Least favorite. Honestly, I never liked the physical look of Mewtwo. I mean, he's a fine character. Who else? Mr. Mime always creeped me out. That's another one. He's got problematic face. How are we liking 4th so far? I'm enjoying it while being pretty bad at it. I'll be the first to say I've only won a single game of 4th. And it was because I broke down and took out Ushiran, who was widely regarded as not broken, I don't think, but exceptionally good, unbearably good. And the reason I say that without saying he's broken is because I just don't think the rest of Fleshier Quartz works without him. And that's just because it's my chosen faction that I wanted to learn the game with. But as far as the game itself goes, I have thoroughly been enjoying the game engine. I feel like I have not had really very many questions. You know, those kinds of things that pop up during a game and you're like, well, I don't know. Does that work or not? You have to kind of think about it. I feel like I haven't really had a lot of those, which is wonderful. I feel like the games move at a very good speed. "100% Mewtwo was all wrong." Yeah, I know. We took the DNA of a flying happy cat and we gave him depression, a 5x sized butt, and a tail that doesn't make any sense, and we wondered why he wanted to kill everybody. Let's see. Are you going to come out to Cake or Death or Kippers this year? I don't know what those things are. I don't know if you know, Sean, I moved away. I'm no longer in Washington. I'm actually in Iowa now, so probably not. I do want to go at some point, though. I gotta see my buddies from Rerolling Ones, hang out with them, get beat by Jack one more time just to humble me again. He's been playing a lot, though. I will say he's been playing in a lot of events. Shootcast is still very much a thing, and he's still constantly playing around with different list iterations. So I don't know. I'm super stoked for him. I want to see what the next iteration of Shootcast is. But I never understood how Mew became that horrible thing. Mew was adorable. Mewtwo is like a hairless cat. I kind of had the same moment in that original Pokemon movie with Mewtwo that I did watching the movie Spy Kids, which is just, there's a point in the film where some director was like, I want to put in a really deep theosophical moment here in the middle of this kids show, just so that even when the crying stops, the thinking doesn't. And by that I mean, in Spy Kids, the moment is when Steve Buscemi says wistfully to a bunch of innocent children, do you think that God too stays in heaven for fear of what he's created? I just remember as a kid being like, damn. I don't know. He says it with such passion. And I was just like, oh my God. Steve Buscemi. Calm down, man. I'm 12, bro. I thought you were still just over the border. Oh, no, you're good, man. You should bring Jack from Other Ones to show you on the show to talk about the new edition. I absolutely should. I should do that. I gotta see if I can get him before, what is it, the holiday season kicks in. He works in logistics, so once Christmas shopping starts online and stuff like that, there never was a Jack. That was just the thing I remember, like from living near him. It was just that's the gig. Sometimes you got to go away. Those movies were a trip when Elijah Wood was the guy. Yes. Yes. Oh, man. I remember whoever the mom was in that show. I just remember there was an interview with her in that show. Spy Kids. The mom in Spy Kids. There was this really awkward interview, and the actress handled it so well. But the lady was just straight up like, to the actress, hey, I just wanted you to know you were a part of my gay sexual awakening because I loved your character so much in Spy Kids. And she had been in a lot of stuff, and so she just like stares at her like, cool. And I think it was meant to be a very sweet sentiment, but it was just catching the actress totally off guard. Just, neato. That was definitely my intention when I signed up for Spy Kids. But I feel like my brain is full of those things of like useless movie quotes that probably hit me way deeper than the writers intended. Do you guys have any of those? For me, like, for example, another big one. I don't know why it's important or why it's stuck in my brain. Highly formative when Tommy Lee Jones in the movie Men in Black defined the difference between a person and people. He's talking to their character, Will Smith's character, and he's like, you know, people are panically loud and dumb, but a person is smart and whatever, can reason and stuff. And I just remember that kind of sitting with me. I was like, dadgum, man. That's like deep. And it's arguably deep, I guess, just understanding. But for me at that age, I was just like, whoa. People and persons are different. They do act different. So I also lived through your guys' podcast, The Horus Heresy. I don't play, but absolutely love hearing you guys talk about it. Very big thanks for that. But when are you guys going to cover the last books? So I don't have to read them. I'm going to have to ask Dan. So I will be the first to say, I stopped reading The Heresy on my own a while back. And then when Dan reached out about doing this show, I was like, this is a great, reason or time to get back into them. And then shortly after we started having that conversation is when they announced, like, oh yeah, we're going to Terra, the big finale or whatever. Which has been great. Now, what I've told Dan was, I want to read enough to where when we start the final series of going to Terra, I don't have to be constantly asking him questions about who X person is or where they were or stuff like that. I want to read until I have enough foundational knowledge to like be able to competently speak about it. And he agreed. And so that's kind of our idea. We don't have a specific time. Right now we're doing Titan Death, which has to do with some of the greater battles in Beta Garmin, which is the solar system immediately before Terra in terms of the invasion. So chronologically, we're almost there. We're almost done going through the various legions, which that's another part of it, right? Is understanding where each legion was. And so far, the only one I regret learning about is Dark Angels. I didn't like those books. I'm sorry if you did. I just didn't. I don't know any other way to say it, man. But eventually we will. I know Dan's excited. We both do the reading, of course, but then he kind of takes the lead on the notes. And so whenever he feels like getting around to those notes, we'll do it. Because I'm the same way. I'm just like, where are we going with this? Yeah, when it comes to heresy knowledge, Dan seems like the man would know. He lives in that world. He does, and he doesn't play it. Same as you. So, take that. That's cool. I do play. I have a 3K Sons of Horus army. And we definitely had a few discussions in the episodes about how, translating story into rules on the tabletop and stuff. And that's certainly where I can come in and be helpful. But for me, if you're talking about like traditional how shows work and stuff like that, the idea was to have me be a guy who's kind of learning with the audience. So I read the books, and I read books and I know things, but not nearly as much as Dan. He's got the beautiful mind. He'll sit there for an hour and watch me struggle of like, man, when did this happen again? I feel like it happened sometime around this section. Nope. Happened this completely other moment. Oh, okay, cool. I often tell people I'm not a human being, but the amalgamation of all the characters I've ever seen in media. I don't speak, I quote. Yeah, my wife definitely looked at me sideways when I first got her to watch Futurama, and she realized I'm not actually that funny and I just quote Futurama all the time. It's like, huh. Turns out this whole time I really just loved Bender. I think you bring in the questions of the podcast that the listeners want to ask, but Dan knows, so he can cut. Yeah, and that's kind of the idea, right? Is like, so what about blank, right? And that's what I mean when I say I kind of take the audience's kind of role of asking the questions. Let's see. He really, for the most part, just needs to dry. I am going to. Generally, it's not a straight answer. Like, well, all the legions did all things. Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Because to me, the heresy books, some of them, right, when I feel like Games Workshop or Black Library really realized how much money they could make, and they just kind of like turned the faucet on for writers. There are some heresy books where I feel like you could swap out the legions that they're talking about and nothing would change, which makes them good Games Workshop, setting action books, but they don't tell you about the legions. And so the point in saying all of that is we want to focus on books that like add unique information or character or setting. Typically in a lot of the short story compendiums is what I'm talking about when I say that you could probably swap out a legion for another and not know it. But still, just picking books that really emphasize a particular legion or style of warfare or something like that. Because you're right, it's not a straight answer. Right? I could be like, well, why aren't these White Scars attacking with their bikes? And you could be like, well, because they don't always, bro. Sometimes you gotta hop off, go to the bathroom, stretch your legs. So that's good. I hope I add something of value, because I oftentimes feel bad where I'm like, man, Dan's just doing all the work. I mean, I do all the editing and that kind of stuff. Like I do mine on the back end, but in terms of the actual show and stuff, sometimes I feel like I don't pull my weight. Although Dan would never say that. So we did a few models today. Let's take a look here. Bouncing all around. First off, we have this knight. I think he's like a mercenary type character. Oh, hold on. Camera doesn't like that background. There we go. He's like a mercenary type. I gotta clip this little metal piece off. It's a piece of flash, but it keeps him stable while I'm painting, so I'll just do that last. And then I just need to get his little diadem on there on his end of his shield. We have the objective yak, who is just gonna get some highlights. And we have our two pig boys who need a flesh highlight, but that's basically it for them. I'm not going to spend too much time. And Treebeard here. Looking cool. Again, just all the base colors blocked out. I need to let the contrast dry. But yeah, not bad for a little over an hour of painting and hanging out with good people. So friends, I'm going to go ahead and hop off for the day. Thank you for spending some time with me. I hope you enjoy the Critic Foul Blade video I have coming up, as well as some banter about magic and Horus Heresy and stuff like that. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. I'll catch you next time.